Dennis Arthur Smith, listed missing. Corporal John Charles Edward Smith, killed in action. Private Jonathan Leslie Smith, listed missing. Lance Corporal Nigel Smith, listed missing. Private Paul Smith,
Hey everyone, and welcome to Into the Music, the best place for reaction videos. Right, Phil?
That's right. They're
Yeah.
hot off the press.
And I'm Greg.
And I'm Phil.
And yeah, that guy there. Cool. So Phil, I got something for you. Are you ready?
Yeah. What do you got?
All right, cool. So the band is The Pretty Things. Do you know them?
I know the name.
Ooh.
I know the name, and I know a little bit about it.
Oh.
I don't know any of their music.
Wow.
So-
They're from a while back. I know
Yeah, they're
you're
like-
into like a lot of music from different
They're like a 60s band. I know that.
Yeah, wow. Okay. So
All right,
maybe you
and
know
then-
this now. So maybe you're gonna maybe you're gonna ruin everything. But I'm gonna give you the song name, Private Sorrow.
No.
Ooh.
I don't know any of their music.
Oh, okay. All right.
This is what I know about. I know that they're a 60s band. I know that they were supposedly they were rough and tumble. They were kind of more like the Animals and the Rolling Stones. And then they did a concept album because, you know, I'm a prog rock fan. So I hear that mentioned all the time that they did some kind of concept album, and then I know nothing else. I don't
So
know if
you
they
never
did-
you never sought out that concept album.
No. And I figured they were kind of like the Zombies. You know, the Zombies did like a hit and run, like they had a couple of albums, and then when they came out with the big one with What's Your Name, Who's Your Daddy, and then boom, they were gone.
Yeah.
But like I do know with the Zombies that Argent came out of them because Rod Argent was in the band, and you know, I know that. But these guys, I don't know anybody in it or anything. So.
Okay. Well then you don't know the song, and this song is off that concept album. That's all I'll say right now. And we'll talk
All
on the
right.
other side. So go check it out, man, and come back and let us know.
Okay, I will do.
Heaven's rain falls upon faces of the children who look skyward, twisting metal through the air, scars and screams so you might know it's pure rain. Seashells whistle, let you ride, drift away. Seashells whistle, let yourself hide away. Men walking tall, looking so small, ranges of light disappearing, mouthing the sound, face turning the brown, like the lips of command, torn in the heart, you're playing a part.
I know this is supposed to be proggy, and it does have all the prog elements. It's like a marching band, and it's got flutes. I love all that type of stuff. I love like King Crimson-y type things, and or like, you know, it's up my alley.
Courage it is so demanding, loud rousing bands, marching through land, life's touching hand is near. fly skyward, twisting wings through the air. Lift the soul so you might know his fury. Seashells whistle, let your mind drift away. Seashells whistle, let yourself hide away. Dressed in white silver rain, bury the pains you need in the church. Bright steel, a new morning arrives. Share the same skies, I'm furthering a lamp for the peace. As the memory fades on the edge of a blade, you return, you're sure that you will. From the frame in your hand, a smile expands. Hang from a thread of glass tears.
It does have that flower power feel to it, and it kind of almost sounds like Lennon-y the way he's singing. And I'm just loving the. I love acoustic guitars and flutes, the whole thing. I just can't explain it, but I do like it.
Edward Smith, listed missing. Private Dennis Arthur Smith, listed missing. Corporal John Charles Edward Smith, killed in action. Private Jonathan Leslie Smith, listed missing. Lance Corporal Nigel Smith, listed missing. Private Paul Smith,
I loved it. I can't explain this one. This is a really, you notice I was like saying that it was like kind of like King Crimson in the fact that it sounded like kind of medievally with the flutes.
Wow,
and the
yeah.
drum- and
Yeah.
the drum marching, but they
Yeah.
don't sound like King Crimson really. And I get with this time period of music, this like 66 through like 71,
Yeah.
these bands were like, they would start out one way and then they morph into something new, you know?
Yeah.
And like the Moody Blues were definitely something like that. And I was, you know, when you said the concept album, I was like thinking maybe it's gonna be the Moody Blues, or is it gonna sound like the Stones doing something weird? I don't know. But this had its own sound.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and I mean, there were flavors. You could definitely tell it's a product of its time. And there was a flower power feel to it. You know, when they would sing, you know, the harmonies and everything came off a little bit like the Beatles.
Yes. There was I think the middle part of the song, it kind of almost takes like a little sort of a left turn, and you hear the
And
it sounds so Beatle-like. Yeah.
Yeah, he even sounded like Lennon in a couple of lines. And then the other thing that sounded Beatle-y was the bass. Like Paul McCartney has a distinctive bass.
Yeah.
And I was like, it kind of sounds like Paul McCartney playing bass.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they went in and then they did like it stopped, it kind of stopped and went into like a lot of like, you know, pre-recorded, you know, voices and things. And a lot of these bands were doing that back then.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking of, it doesn't sound like it, but they kind of remind like the Animals. Do you know the song Sky Pilot?
Yes. Yes.
It kind of like, you know, it's kind of anti-war-y but it's not like Sky Pilot. I mean, it really had like that medieval and the drumming
That was good.
But
I'm jealous. I wish I could do that.
I can't. But I love this type of stuff because this era to me was what I like to hear things how they came into the music that I really grew into.
Yeah.
So you know, like I probably should check out the rest of this. Do you know the rest of this album?
No, I don't. No.
So how'd you come across this song?
Just in my deep dive into sort of searching for new music over the last year, and I pulled this thing out like earlier this year, and this is one I was going to have Chris listen to. I was just struck by it. I guess I should really go to the full album, right?
Yeah.
But
This-
yeah, well, just because the method to my madness is that I always think, well, if I get too deep into the album, like let's say we drop this, right, and we don't get the 20 views that I think we're going to get, I'm going to get maybe like, let's say, you know, a nice sort of a healthy amount of views, and people drop comments and they say, oh, you got to check this song out from the album and check that out. There you go. You know, so I'm always like, how much digging do I go into a certain band or album, something like that. But yeah, you would think that I would have just at least tried to check out another song or two. Because I am really curious, like if there, as a concept album, does this song, because you use words, you actually, what you said a few minutes ago, made me wonder if this is cut from a different cloth as far as the album goes. I wonder if all the other songs sound, you know, like very, like sort of connect, and this one kind of is,
Right.
this actually does follow sort of a sequence of events in the concept album, and we'll get into that in a couple of minutes when I get into the information. But as far as sound and everything, like now I'm really intrigued. I wonder if this is, because this is actually like there's a little bit of mainstream kind of sound to this too, you know, like, you know, I could definitely imagine like this being played on the radio and stuff like that at that time. I don't think it was released as a single, but it does have that sort of quality, that appeal. You know, it's got that sort of da-da-da-da, da-da-da, you know. There's nothing really abstract about it, right? It's kind of like, you know, it has a beginning and an end, and it's got like, you know, sort of a lot of qualities in the song that you, like you said, in that 60s, that sort of, you know,
But
we
I
could
could
definitely,
see them doing like a music video, and they're all in like military gear from the 1800s with pipes and, you know,
exactly,
marching.
yeah,
It's like, it's very, you know, it kind of reminded me of like with King Crimson when they go into like one of their more fluty type of, you know, like in the Court of the Crimson King type area. I mean, you know, but it's very medieval to me, like, you know, sounding. And bands back then, they were doing that type of stuff. Like you had the Fairport Convention and everybody digging back to like
yeah.
older sounds and things like that. So I like this type of stuff. It's stuff that I probably have to listen to in the car by myself because other people won't appreciate it.
Yeah, that's funny.
But
I
that's
think
what
this song uses the mellotron too, which was a
Right.
big instrument back then, like the Moody Blues, right, with the stuff that they were doing, and yeah, and right down the line. So let me just pull up a little information. I think you're gonna find this really interesting. I was kind of looking into it before we started zooming, and I'm going into Wiki. English rock
Mhm.
band formed in 1963. They took their name from
All right.
Willie Dixon's 1955 song "Pretty Thing." They were
You know-
actually a real pure rhythm and blues band in their early years. They had a few singles that charted in the UK, and then later they embraced other genres such as psychedelic rock in the late 60s, and then hard rock in the early 1970s, and then new wave in the early 1980s. So I wonder if you and
Wow.
I, in our sort of love for WLIR, listened to a couple of the Pretty Thing
Well-
songs, and we just didn't know it, right? Who knows?
Well, I'm thinking, you know, like they were not part of the British invasion because I don't remember hearing about them being here. You know what I mean? They didn't come with the King. They sounded like they were probably playing with the Kinks and the Stones and the Beatles all in the clubs and everything. But
Yeah, you know, it's funny you mentioned a couple of bands there that actually sort of helped to kind of ruin the impact that this album potentially had, and I'll get into that. So this is off their, I think it's their fourth one. Yeah, their fourth album. It's called S.F. Sorrow, SF Sorrow. And it was a concept album, and actually known as like a rock opera. It really follows the life of this guy who really endures hardship in his life, including going off to war. And that's where this song sort of comes in. So he joins the infantry and he fights in World War I. We think it's World War I. And he sinks into a daze. This is what Wiki's saying. He sinks into a daze, living out the entire war in a funk. Soon the sounds of gunfire and artillery become the rhythm to his life in a daydream. He survives the war and settles down in a land called Amérique or Americ. Obviously, we refer into the country America because the first words of the song "Balloon Burning" are New York, and then he comes out of the war, and he has a fiance, and then she winds up dying in like a Hindenburg sort of Zeppelin like, and she dies. So sorrow endures a lot of sorrow, in his life, and that's really like the concept. So yeah.
Well, it's kind of, it's hopefully it's, because I do want to check out more. Hopefully it has some uplifting stuff.
Here's the lyrics. Here's the lyrics.
Okay.
Heaven's rain falls upon. I love the lyrics too. Heaven's rain falls upon faces of the children who look skyward, twisting metal through the air, scars and screams, so you might know his fury. Seashells whistle, let your mind drift away. Seashells whistle, let yourself hide away. So I guess that sort of refers to that daydream that he was going through. Men walking.
I like that refrain in the song.
Yeah.
Seashells by the sea. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Right. Men walking tall, looking so small. Green trees of life disappearing, mouthing the sounds. Face clowning the frowns. Block the lips of command. Right. Almost, I guess, if you're sort of in that trance of war, it's just kind of like a soulless kind of look. Torn in the heart, you're playing the part. Courage. It is so demanding. Loud brass and bands marching through lands. Life's snatch in hand is near. Heaven's army falls upon the skirts of Mother Earth. I love that. And then flies skywards, twisting wings through the air. Lift the soul so you might know his fury. So I wonder if that twisting wings is like the airplanes that get kind of shot down and they're coming down. And then seashells whistle, let your mind drift away. Right. It's kind of that sort of repeat. Seashells whistle, let yourself hide away. And I think that's where the flute is coming in again, right? That flute was kind of prominent throughout, right? Yeah, I love that. And I think some mellotron was coming in too. Dressed in white silk of rain, you marry the pain as you kneel in a church of bright steel. A new morning arrives. You share the same skies, umbrella ring, a land full of peace. And as the memory fades on the edge of a blade, you'll return. You're sure that you will. From the frame in your hand, a smile expands, hangs from a thread of glass tears. It's very poetic. And that was the end of the song there. And then also, and you mentioned about like at the end of the song, like where there was some talking and stuff. I love that. I love that part because at that point, right? Even like someone who doesn't know, like me, when I first came upon a song, I didn't know it was a part of a concept album, right? I just thought it was kind of, at some point you catch on. It's a war song. It's like an anti-war song. It's really sort of describing, the hell of war, and sort of in a poetic nature. And so you get that. And then at the end, when I started hearing that guy doing like that voice in the background, doing like roll call of all the soldiers who passed away, who were missing, it was so haunting, and the music, was really fitting as it kind of, sort of segued into that part. And then it kind of like sort of faded out and that whole thing took over. I thought that was so effective. It really was, it fit, a lot of times, I kind of don't like, when, songs have like talking parts and stuff like that, audio or something. Sometimes it really works. In this case, it really does.
But bands were just really starting to get into doing this back then, because even like Sgt. Pepper's they were pulling stuff in, and then Days of Future Past with the Moody Blues.
Yep.
They were all like experimenting with grabbing sounds and adding it to.
Yeah, you're right.
To give the song a feel and everything. Yeah, this one was good how they did that. It really, and it really changed the whole ending of the song. I mean, it wasn't just like it gave it a second like piece to it, like a second part.
Yeah,
that's part of like the progressive way of doing things. So
yeah,
good. I enjoyed it, and I would definitely check it out. I have to now. So, but I thought you were going to tell me, oh yeah, the whole album, and then they do this, and then they do that, and you're like, I I just heard the one song.
Nah, I've been too busy with all these other songs I'm getting into. And in the meantime, you have a good rest of the day, night. And to everyone out there, all 4 of you out there, we really hope you enjoyed this reaction video. And if you know about the band, know about this album, let us know. What do you think about the song? What do you think about the album? And let us know what that next song should be from this band. In the meantime, we'll see every one of you in the next episode of Into the Music.
Into the Music.